I went out of my body. I was in the fucking bedroom. I swear to you.
Criticize Usher for throwing dollars with his face on them. Do you know who that man is? Okay?
Yes.
Do you know he made Burn, Confessions Part 2?
Terrified. Yep.
Well, no,
It's
I
like a superpower. Neuralink is like a superpower.
or it's George Orwell's fucking fantasy.
All right. Why are you looking at me like that, man?
Trying not to roast you for going, all right.
Can I not do that shit? Like, goddamn.
All right.
Well, fuck you too then, goddamn. That's all.
Quite spooky. Y'all better get scared right now. Some spooky action at a distance. Sounds like some demon shit, so I'm not all that interested. I don't do demon shit, ladies and gentlemen. I don't play that.
The Passion of the Christ, Satan and the Passion of the Christ. That's worse. It's hanging from the ceiling, looking at him, smiling.
You leave it.
Fuck you, Cole. I'm out.
No topic too far gone. No conversation not worth having on this Brain versus Universe podcast.
The facts. In the immortal words of Geneticist J.B.S. Haldane, my own suspicion is that the universe is not only stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine. I think a perfect summation of the show we've got here.
It's that impossible question. It's that moment in Waiting for Godot where Lucky quack, 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 quack. Right. And then
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brain versus the Universe. Jesus, man. Where us three are going to be here to be able to give you and bring you unique vibes, as well as perspectives on even more unique backstory and friendship, friendship and brotherhood. Sorry.
All good, man. All good, bro.
Yeah.
All good, dude.
In the words of Geneticist J.B.S. Haldane, the universe is not only stranger than we imagine, but stranger than we can imagine.
Perfect.
That's what this Brain versus Universe podcast is all about.
Yes, it is.
Yes, we on the Brain versus Universe podcast, a bipedal Odyssey. Yes, there's no question. That's too far gone.
Nope.
No stone we don't unturn.
Facts.
We ask every question.
Big facts.
We unturn every stone.
Big
Yes.
facts.
On this Brain versus Universe podcast, a bipedal Odyssey.
That's a fact.
Yes. And how's everybody doing, man?
Well, before that, shout out Outside In Theater.
Yes.
Make sure you subscribe and donate to them. They've helped us out immensely. You'd be helping us by helping them. And also, of course, the Brain vs. Universe YouTube channel. Subscribe, share, comment, like, all the stuff. All right? Now.
One more thing, guys. We do have a disclaimer.
Oh, my God.
This is a late night show.
Yeah.
So if anyone has young kids,
You're right.
or if edgy conversations about racial and also just dark humor
All right.
conversations between friends, if that's going to be something that's non-negotiable, we love you. It's okay. But yeah,
Time to go to sleep.
you look agnostic.
Hit the bricks. How
Time
about you
to
hit
go
the
to sleep.
Hit the bricks. we welcome everyone. But
we
yeah,
love everyone. Yeah.
We these are some real conversations we intend on having. Shout out to Dreadlights in the comments section.
What's going on?
This is why I was laughing to open.
Yeah.
Dreadlights is Deontay, who's one of my best friends from back home, and he says, so we have a show with Brian Pumper. He still calls me Brian Pumper and says I look like Brian Pumper. Brian Pumper is a black porn star, by the way, that I look like, apparently. We have a show with Brian Pumper and Frank Ocean.
Didn't he also try to do a rap career as well?
Brian Pumper?
Yeah.
He did.
If I think right.
Saying rap career
I know.
is
It's very vague.
really
I'm sorry.
light.
It's like,
Putting him, it's putting it strongly.
Yeah.
Anyway, how was you guys this week?
My week was good, man.
Shoot,
We're
man.
it's my birthday in 3 days.
Oh, man.
Yeah, 28 years old. 28 years young, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're the middle one.
I'm the middle one.
Yeah.
Victor's the
2
baby.
days, right?
I'm the baby of the group.
You're the baby in the group.
What's your
Hey.
birthday?
It's July 21st.
Okay, not 2 days, but yeah, about a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a month
I like being the oldest.
Really?
Mm.
I do. I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
I tell you why that is, man.
Get to call your old man. For the rest of
You
the time
are
being.
no man. I'll tell you what it is. He's the younger brother.
Facts.
That's all that is.
That's why.
finally
Because
gets to
I'm
be
the older brother.
oldest.
I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah.
You can have that, man.
Yeah, I need that, man. I've been a
Oh,
baby
man.
my whole life. All right. Here we go.
That's where that edge comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Shout out to
Shout
shout out to Chad,
Shout
man.
out to Chad. Chad better be up in here.
Shoot, hopefully he is, man.
Chad better hop up in here. I just
For
sent
real.
him the link. Chad better hop in. All right.
All right, man.
Moving on.
Oh,
Moving on.
okay. All right, so first thing we're going to go into, what's our BVU truisms?
All right. So,
What do you got for us, Ty?
my brain versus universe. My brain says billionaires are not evil.
Here we go.
The universe says they are. Now, I don't know if my universe has become so isolated to Los Angeles that I'm getting a very narrow view of this thing, because I don't think I've heard as much hate for rich people until I got here in Los Angeles, which I think is an interesting thing because there's more money here than, in in many states combined. There's more money in Los Angeles than there is in many states altogether. Every city and a state in Ohio,
Hey, man.
no offense to Ohioans,
Mm-hmm.
but the amount of money, when I go to work every day in Beverly Hills, the amount, I told y'all I was driving along and I stop at a stoplight and I look to the left and I double take, and it was a Bugatti McLaren dealership sitting right next to me. Millions of dollars in this, just sitting there, millions. So, again, I don't know if this is a more California thing or a more liberal thing, more Los Angeles thing, but what sent me down this line of thinking was a situation with Jeff Bezos. Now, Jeff Bezos is the owner of Amazon. He's got more money than God. Jeff Bezos is going to be going on a trip to space pretty soon. Some of you may have heard of Jeff Bezos and his space exploration plans, or his dick measuring contest with
Which
Elon
is what it
Musk,
is.
as we like to call it. Listen, I'll make no bones about Jeff Bezos being a dick. However, this is a little much. So there's a petition on change.org that has reached 120,000 signatures asking to not allow Jeff Bezos to return to Earth.
Wow.
120,000 signatures. Jose Ortiz, who set up the petition, said in the description that Bezos was an evil overlord hell-bent on global domination.
Whoa.
The fate of humanity is in your hands, Ortiz also wrote. Bezos plans to take an 11-minute flight to the edge of space in New Shepard alongside his brother and an auction winner. I think they sold a seat on the craft for, I want to say it was like $25 million or something stupid like that. which
Who's
makes
he
sense.
flying
Oh,
with
that's
again?
it.
Who made the rocket? Is it his Origins project?
Blue Origin.
Blue
Okay.
Origin, yes.
Blue
Okay.
Origin. He and his brother Mark Bezos are flying out with. It's also going to be the first flight carrying people. I don't know how many. Also in this petition, in the description, it says billionaires should not exist on Earth or in space, but should they decide the latter, they should stay there. Some signatories gave a reason for signing the petition, which included comments such as being let back into Earth is a privilege, not a right. And Earth don't want people like Jeff, Bill, Elon, and other such billionaires.
Jesus. Okay.
I
Wow.
Listen, I find this hilarious. Oh, it's 28 million. It was 28
28?
million is how much a seat on this craft is going for.
Wow.
Listen, man. Listen. Jeff Bezos.
How you
is a-
feel, man?
Jeff Bezos had in 2 years on record, Jeff Bezos paid little to no taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I understand not liking Jeff Bezos, but to condemn the man to death, which is essentially what you're doing by saying you need to stay in space. How does one stay in space?
Well, see, this is the difference between him and Elon, right? Elon's gonna have a place to live.
And I also reject this lumping of Elon with Jeff Bezos.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this speaks to my overall question about billionaires being evil. And I don't know if this is a newer thing that I'm just noticing now, that I'm getting more serious about my money, right? I would love to be a billionaire. Victor, would you like to be a billionaire?
Of course.
I also wonder if this is a cultural thing.
Mm.
I asked you this question the other day. I
Yeah,
said,
and
do
I-
you think this is a black a black white thing? Like, do you think have white people turned the corner and now they hate other rich white folks more than black people hate rich? Because I don't think there's many black people going, yeah, Jeff Bezos, fuck him,
No.
and Bill Gates and Elon Musk. Why? Because they have money. Those aren't the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. Those are not the same guy. I don't appreciate those three guys being lumped in together. Two of those guys are pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible. Jeff
Oh my
Bezos, not as much.
Yeah.
So again, I get it. But to condemn the man to death because he's a billionaire, why shouldn't a person be able to be a billionaire?
Okay, let's start with the first question. Let's assume there is a bit of a hyperbole going on here. And what he means by dying in space is he really hates the concept of a billionaire to such a degree that it's, poetically right to phrase it that way.
Yeah.
Right? Hail Caesar, damn Caesar,
Mm-hmm.
I hope he falls off the balcony, Caesar. This is not new territory. There's been many times where leaders or powerful people, many evil, many good, many just somewhere on that spectrum. The public asked for their death, but I don't think they really wanted it. Although if it happened, they wouldn't lose any sleep. So I think that's my interpretation of that. At least that's my charitable interpretation of that.
Do you think there's some jealousy going on?
Mm.
Do you think that's at the
That's
core
definitely.
of...
Oh, I don't think it's at the. Okay, go ahead.
We like building up stars. We also love seeing stars fall,
Mhm.
is I kind of think what you're getting at. And I'm using the term star because we're Americans,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we identify these. We love seeing the fall of a superstar. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
So it's headline news all over social media. We love it.
It becomes pure entertainment.
Is that what's happening with billionaires?
Mm. I think that's part of it. I'm sure.
Do we want to just see someone uber successful fall apart?
Okay, well, let's break it up just real quick. So Jeff Bezos owns Amazon. This is a company that many people around the world use.
Yeah.
So he has his invention or patent, however you want to put it, with a lot of help and also, but he strong-armed that situation into action.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone uses Amazon to some degree, especially in America.
Mhm.
So the man he's not one of these billionaires that's in the shadows, like a Chase Bank lawyer or something like that, where you have no idea why they're billionaires. You know perfectly good and well why Jeff Bezos is a billionaire.
Yeah.
So it's easier to create a narrative about Jeff Bezos, but it's also easier to see his weak sides and what his mistakes have been. And when I bring this up, I'm talking about moving his warehouses to areas sometimes that aren't necessarily the best thing for the community that he can actually, go into.
Mhm.
I mean, once you are number one, I would argue that there is an ethical responsibility to make sure that you're doing number one correctly. For example, Tesla is helping to bring a difference between him and Elon Musk. Tesla is helping other electric car companies' patents work.
Yeah.
They want them to be in production.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They're not doing what Chevy and Ford did to each other and Dodge did to each other back in the day.
Yeah.
They're not trying to steal each other's engineers. Although
Right.
some of that's going on. Don't get me wrong. You can't avoid the competitive market. But that is an important distinction between the two.
Mhm.
What is your company doing?
Would you also say Bill Gates has helped?
Well,
the
Bill
world
Gates had
to some degree.
yes, and Bill Gates is a good example because Bill Gates was basically shareholders helped Apple get off the ground because it was illegal essentially for Microsoft to run the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't all Apple was just sexy. Some of it was logistics.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Warren Buffett with Pepsi
Yeah.
and Coke, right? And Apple and his insurance companies. And
Mhm.
somehow he's convinced the world that it's important to protect the Super Bowl for trillions of dollars.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Pretty. I don't know whether to call that move brilliant or evil.
Mm.
Brilliantly evil.
It's just
Some
kind
of
of
both.
genius.
there's just something a little cold about it.
Yeah,
right.
some-
It's
some
not
evil
warm when you hear
genius
facts
there.
like that.
Yeah.
So I think Bezos, he's operating in that sphere, and also if you look at the space thing, he's almost like the stepchild of the space. In what is that? The public domain of businessmen going into space. He's like the stepchild.
Yeah.
Mm.
We've made fun of him several times for the space thing because it's totally a dick measuring contest
Mm-hmm.
that's devolved with Elon, and I don't think Elon is playing. I don't think he's competing in this dick measuring contest. I think Elon just does what he does, and Jeff Bezos he's a bit of a half-wit. He's a half-wit with a $1 billion. So again, this is not saying that Jeff Bezos is a good person, but if I gave pretty much anybody I know $1 billion, I can imagine all of them doing something that someone on the outside would say was not a good use of the money, or was wrong, or was, oh, you were supposed to do this, or you were supposed to do that, or engage in what someone in the outside would consider evil or selfish.
Mhm.
Or, if I had $1 billion, first thing I'd probably do would be get my mom a giant house.
Yeah.
I'd take care of my folks first.
Yeah. Immediate
Absolutely,
family.
that's what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
I'd take care of me and my people first.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what they're doing as well.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So you're the real question here, but I'm glad we laid out the personal part because I want to get past that first.
Yeah.
With Jeff Bezos. Okay. The second question is the system, and we have to really talk about it we have to do our best to talk about it from the outside, as if we're not Americans. It's hard to do, but if you are a world citizen,
Mm-hmm.
you have to look at it through those eyes as well, which is you can only be a billionaire in certain systems in the world.
One.
Right. One without being a true overlord,
Mhm.
Right.
you
yeah.
know.
People in the chat.
And I don't want to call out any countries, but there is billionaire ways to there are some really sick ways to get to the top.
We're quite familiar directly with the oil way,
Yeah.
with where we're from.
And
People in the chat, as a quick aside, people in the chat, let me know what you would do with $1 billion. What's the first thing you would do? What's the first thing y'all would do, you think? You had $1 billion dropped into your account today.
I don't know, man. I don't know because
It's hard
it's hard.
because you could do anything.
Yeah.
This is America. You have $1 billion, you're now
What's
royalty.
out of your
You can
hands?
do pretty much whatever you feel like.
I think it depends if I have anything if I had something going or an idea that I knew I could get off the ground, then I would put money into that.
Okay.
That way I can continue this enterprise.
So the
But if I don't, if I'm someone that doesn't have anything, I think I'd give half of it back to something that's not necessarily related to my own story.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is another question
Yeah.
that
Victor.
I think for myself, it's probably going to be, I would definitely probably look at immediate family first, trying to see who I could be able to help, who I could be able to assist. And then actually the other thing I would love to do with it is I've always wanted to put like a magnet school in our city,
Okay.
something to be able to develop future talents maybe.
Help out back home.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
we're
And
talking about
then-
billions of dollars here.
I know. But
Yeah.
being
yeah.
able to fix it and
Yeah.
basically funnel it into the city,
Yeah.
be able to find a way to build it up. What about you?
So we Steven Jackson, an ex-NBA player, is from our hometown, and he came back and he put a gym over there on Proctor,
yeah.
and it's a gym for young, for the most part, black boys to go have
Mhm.
something to do, to take up their time, so they're not, people from the suburbs might not understand this, but it is for the absolute best that those boys have something productive to do with their time.
Yeah.
And Steven Jackson got shredded. I remember, because I was there in the middle of a lot of those conversations.
Yeah.
People talking shit. He came back and put a basketball court up. What's that supposed to do? the point I'm making is when you have money, I really don't think there is an option that you can take that will satisfy people.
Yeah. You
I
won't
don't.
get the full match.
I think even if you're 100 millionaire,
yeah.
a millionaire, probably 100,000-aire, there's going to be people who, go, I would do that too. Mainly because they're not in that position.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's, for the most part, that's what's happening here. To the degree that people are willing to ask for a man's death.
Yeah.
That's what you're asking. Maybe they don't understand the degree to which being in space is not a long-term viable solution still to this day.
That's a question I think both sides misses.
Mm-hmm.
Astronauts
the billionaires too. Yeah.
Astronauts cannot just come back to. So I have a master's degree in exercise science. Bone density is very much so based on gravity. If you do not have the gravity, your bones get weaker rapidly, very rapidly, to the degree that when astronauts are coming back into orbit, or before they can come back into orbit, they have to engage in resistance training in order to densen their bones enough to step off the ship when they get back on planet Earth. Otherwise, one step off that ship and your ankle's going to snap.
So that scene in Gravity where Sandra Bullock goes down to the bottom of that pond.
She'd be dead.
And she swims out and then
Absolutely
takes her first
dead.
steps and walks. And
Absolutely,
you're,
absolutely dead. She would have shattered a lot. She would have shattered her body.
Yeah. Just stepping out.
Everything would have snapped. Everything would have snapped. So, food.
Yeah.
Humans are not built to be in space. And this is the problem of going in space. We have not figured this out at all.
Yeah.
So to say, don't let him come back.
Stay there.
And then to say you're not entitled to come back to Earth, or you're not, you don't deserve to just come back to Earth. If that's not, I would call that a human right to be on the planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
No, that's not crazy at all.
People throw the word right around a lot, but I think this is a case in which it actually fits. A human being should have the right to be on planet Earth.
Yeah.
I guess the question becomes, who has the right to invent the rules?
Who has to say so?
Yeah.
Is that a collective discussion, or is it a few people? And I would argue historically it's a few people.
Select few.
It's actually my pet topic tonight.
All right, let's go.
But I mean, and the billionaire part
into it, man.
is related to it, but it's not.
Let's
it's
segue
not the
into it.
primary function.
According to Paul, he would be dead if he had $1 billion.
He be dead.
He would spend the money on 2 hookers and an 8-ball.
Hey.
8-ball.
It's a good time. It's a good
Lord
time
Jesus,
there.
Lord,
Man.
relax, Paul.
It's a
All
good
right,
time
Paul.
on your hands.
Perfect segue. Go ahead, man.
Okay, so I think when I hear this this cynicism about the modern world, my mind doesn't. It is very tempting to isolate the conversation to these immediate walls and airwaves and Wi-Fi signals piercing through our bodies. It's really difficult not to do that because, it's the anthropic principle. We are here now observing things, and they have to be the way they are, otherwise we wouldn't be here. It's circular reasoning, unfortunately. So I want to step back. I want to go back to the European Enlightenment through Germany, Italy, England, and much of Ireland, and the French. Okay. So
Go ahead, man.
I said earlier, does it come down to a collective decision or a few people? All right. I would argue if you took George Barclay, Bishop Barclay, not Berkeley, sorry, people in Northern California.
Yeah.
It's Barclay. You take him. You take René Descartes. What do they say? Barclay said the world is completely up here. It's not really what he said, but that's how his interpreters pushed his ideas, which it was called idealism. All right? Descartes said, okay, animals don't have consciousness. Only humans have consciousness. Only humans have a mind. Then we get the invention of the mind-body problem, which basically means there's no exterior world. There's really no colors. There's no sounds. There's no objects. Ethics, everything that exists is not out there. That was the way that's Aristotle, that's Plato. The world's out there and we encounter it. No, the world's in here. It still exists. There's still this spooky woo stuff. It's called mind. This is called Cartesian dualism. But the point I'm making here is it was the beginning of individuality as a philosophical something to be reached for.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, there was no idea of the self going towards if you were royalty, yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you were the masses, you were just doing your thing that the previous generation did, and it slowly turned through history over historical contingencies. Then you get to Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant says we're ends in ourselves. So he's following up Descartes.
Mm-hmm.
Human beings are ends in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So all decisions that are made by individuals. There is no out there. There is no code. There is no Moses dropped the 10 Commandments down Mount Sinai.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to David Hume, and he says, if we can imagine a different world, then it's possible. Now, this is a huge intellectual assumption. Aristotle would say, no, imagination serves a certain literary function, but reason and the will towards knowledge, that's what matters, and it matters as a collective for all humanity.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what Kant says. Interestingly enough, Kant was celibate too, so his sexuality played a huge part in his decision to say human beings, they are in themselves their own gods, essentially.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
These four men birthed the European Enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else was pupils of these men.
Would you say modern day America, modern day Western culture has gone further in the direction of individualism? Further and further and further as time has gone on.
And it was a decision made. And it started way back in the day with a guy named Epicurus. Epicureanism says if there is any gods, they're way far away. We got to take care of our own business. Any concept that we are a species that needs to figure out that we are a species. Whatever that unifying idea is, we got to do away with that. And
man,
now this is important to this discussion.
Yeah.
Because the economic systems were also laid forth. So right after this, you get two things that happen. You get John Locke and you get Nietzsche in Germany. Nietzsche goes, God is dead. Right? And here's the quagmire.
God is dead.
He didn't just say God is dead, it's over. That's what the guys I'm talking about did. He said, we have a problem here. Because if the conclusion is there is no there's no out there, we are falling. And aren't we falling through nothing? Through nothing. There's no east or west. There's no up or down.
Mm-hmm.
That's all folk psychology. What's actually happening is we're falling and we're realizing we're falling, but we also think we can take, and here's the problem. Through democracy and through individualism and ideals that we can lay forth in law. And now you start seeing how America was founded slightly before this, but the same sort of thinking. A bunch of guys can go in a dark room, light some candles, and make decisions for generations for 1,000 years. That is my concern with, if there's a billionaire discussion of whether billionaires should exist, this is the lane in which that discussion should take place.
Yeah.
Not Marx,
Yeah.
not communism, none of that. We have to go back further. Marx was just as possessed as the people I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Marx was almost, he wanted everyone. He had a different utopianism to go towards.
Yeah.
Right? And the Christian idea kind of died already, along with certain pagan ideas as well. We by the time you get to Nietzsche, we just didn't believe anything anymore in that sort of real sort of way.
Would you say the economic systems are more so based on these two? If we say individualism is yin, what's yang? Belonging to something greater than yourself, but I'm not sure how to phrase that in one or two words.
I would argue, and goes back to the God is dead thing, there is no yang. We are just stuck. And we're constantly going to move towards this new horizon, which isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? It's moving more towards we're kings and we're this and we're that.
Yeah.
We're extremely important. It is important to point this out because before this, you did not have ideas like, I'll leave it there. I have more to add, but I'll leave it there.
Well, so individualism, we are in agreement that or correct me if I'm wrong, I'll rephrase what you said. Individualism has turned the corner. Here in Los Angeles, you will meet a lot of people who will look you in the face and tell you that they have a brand, and they will view themselves as a walking, living, breathing brand, which I think is pretty much the ultimate in individualism, right? Like the entirety of your being is devoted toward this purpose, which is branding, which is marketing, which is, as you're saying, the marketing is a symptom of capitalism. The capitalism is a symptom of something else.
Yes, that's. I mean, honestly, these are people still go get their PhDs on these subjects. It's still hotly debated, but I think what has been shown to be true. I mean, before Newton, watched an apple fall and we got gravity, he was using skin off a horse's ass.
Yeah.
They didn't even have paper in Europe at that time.
We should also note that we do value, I think to a large degree, individualism.
Oh, of course.
Here.
Yeah.
But again, trying to insert some nuance into the conversation, and how does a person walk the fine line between individual? If there is no yang, then we're in dangerous territory.
Okay. I mean, what is the if the prediction that was made by some of these guys that were skeptics at the time, they said the only way you can make this work is if certain powers that be become so powerful they can more or less just, I don't want to use words like survey, but they can be world police. This is what you get. By the time the nukes, we did not get to the atomic age because of just blind curiosity. There was an immediate pull during the beginning, and I'm not against technology or an industrialization, but I do want to argue we've divorced ourselves from the natural world to such a degree, and it started with Descartes.
Yeah,
he took away the mind was a concept that applied to the universe. It did not apply to this up here. These were small minds and mind at large.
Yeah,
there is no mind at large. There is no, even animals don't have consciousness like that. They are just biological robots. That's the consensus opinion to this day.
right, and completely disagree that animals are just biological robots. Completely disagree. Completely disagree.
Absolutely. It's
Vehemently disagree.
It's insane. And I think the people that argue for this know it's nonsense.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, Chesterton used to say, G.K. Chesterton, brilliant writer. He was Tolkien's big hero in fantasy. And he would say things like, you should trust your nanny as much as you trust your lawyer. Actually, your nanny's probably a lot more sensible than your lawyer. And if your circular reasoning is, I can't trust my nanny on spectacular claims or life advice because, well, she's culturally conditioned and she's given in to the system. Usually when that's said, the system they're talking about is not the one that exists. The one that exists tells you to keep being you to such a degree that you can find yourself in a position where it's like, fuck everybody. And even if you're poor, you still say, fuck that billionaire that's up there. It's like everyone's consumed by this move towards the inside.
What is the opposite of extreme individualism?
Oh, I mean, that's
what's the antithesis? I would argue the first thing that comes to mind, I'd say, are religious fundamentalists where I'm from.
Okay.
So that's
I'm certainly not talking about that, but
I know, but that's the immediate thing that comes to mind as, again, the opposite of the radical individualism that we see that turns into, I think, nihilism oftentimes, is because everything external to you stops mattering. The inverse or the opposite is my own individualism is totally irrelevant. Who I am as a person, I submit to this way of thinking or this type of thinking or this group, whatever it might be. That's what comes to my mind. Thoughts?
I mean, I can see.
See why my mind would go there?
Yeah.
Exactly. But I would, hang on one second. All right, we're good.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there. Anyway, I would just submit that at this time it was an age of disenchantment. right? This is where it was going, and people wanted to go this direction. This was not the consensus opinion. And I think that yes, Galileo and the Catholic Church, that totally happened. I'll tell you what else happened. There was a huge move. The whole Protestant, like, I'm glad you brought that up because it's just even more evidence, in my opinion, that those people down there make money doing that.
Yeah.
They use religion to make money. That's completely. Listen, before, like,
people do here too.
We're Westerners, so let's go back to the Judeo-Christian. Even though I'd argue, the moment we start putting categories on something, we're using a certain wisdom that I just disagree with, because it's not that simple. That was the whole world back then was a different world.
Yeah.
And before you get to Rome, there is no sense that the individual is just, you're just a small, the ego is the individual. And when the ego dies, there's some small part that's still tie.
Yeah.
Then you die.
And then.
Yeah. And then you get Rome, and you get Constantine, and you get robes, and you get crowns. And
I have another question for you.
Sure. But it's just a few people is all I'm saying. It wasn't a decision made by, we live in a world with the internet now, and it's difficult to imagine this.
Yeah. What is a healthy amount of individualism? Where's the line at?
I don't know. I mean, that's the
blurred
rut we're
line.
in. Yes.
But if your son was having a discussion with you about individualism, what do you think you might tell him? Might. You can't know for sure, of course, until the moment comes.
If by Rudyard Kipling. That's what I would read my son.
Yes.
Yes. If
One
you
of
can pull it up, you want to read it off? You want to read that?
I'll find it.
Yeah.
Rudyard Kipling.
If. Then you'll
one
be
of my favorite things I have ever read, and I actually got this from Kevin Samuels. He posted this on YouTube. It's kind of long, so I'm just gonna read like the second half of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. It's my favorite part is actually the very beginning. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can be, to me,
it's hard.
This screams, if you can be in the middle on these things, if you cannot be pulled to
Either
the
side.
extreme sides, or to extreme sides of your emotional spectrum, if you cannot rage out or run away, if you could stay right here, stay focused on the task at hand, what needs to get done here, that will, and I find for me personally, being mission-based is that carries me through when I don't want to get up.
You need dogmas too.
Yeah.
Of some sort.
Yeah.
Feeling like when I started telling myself that my life wasn't about me, that it was about my mother and my brother and my nephews and y'all and my city and my future family that I'd like to have, I've been way happier.
It's keeping you on that steady course. It's keeping you in a mindset of,
right,
these are the people that brought me to this part.
And within that, though, I still do view myself as an individual.
Yes.
The people around me, this family that I've built, that I was given and have built, is what I belong to. And their extended families and so on and so forth is how I view it.
This is your community. This is...
And I intend on taking care of my community.
Yeah.
Well, I'm with you 100%. Yeah. The question then becomes, how do you encourage others? Because, at one point in time, they would just say, go get a pipe, go walk down the creek, look around, hear the birds, smell the trees. You can't do that these days.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone do it. When I
No.
try to do it, I'm immediately called.
They look at you.
My phone starts blowing up. And then someone's mad at me for not answering my fucking phone,
Yeah.
right? Then my boss is mad at me.
Yeah.
Then my manager's mad at me, and I ain't done nothing wrong.
Nope.
Right? And then immediately someone goes, you need to, you haven't posted anything in a while.
Like,
No, I mean, and I don't mean it's not, it's that's just a symptom.
yeah.
But we still have a world we have to encounter every fucking day,
Yeah.
and it was built.
Right.
It was built with, as the, again, there's two movies. If two movies I can persuade you to watch after this is over. The Tree of Life, Terrence Malick.
Mm-hmm.
It's about just being present. There's a line at the end of it. Brad Pitt's character goes, man, I thought I was a big man. I'm nothing. I've dishonored all the glory. And he's like walking around, and he hasn't noticed how wonderful his backyard had been in 20 years because he's been so stressed out.
Yep.
And he's like,
Right.
my God. And he's getting his innocence back.
Yeah.
David Bentley Hart, my favorite writer. I'll bring him up every fucking episode. Wisdom is the recovery of innocence at the far end of experience. And that goes all the way back to the book of Genesis, the garden, right? These are deep. These are not like, if you have a cynical, simple view about these things, like, I'm not interested in talking to you. It's clearly there. Like, those are the collective.
Yeah.
That's a whole pilgrimage of people thinking about the human story.
Yeah.
The Enlightenment, the European Enlightenment, that was a few people that were renegades that went, you know what, this is the time to move now. They're like the government with this UFO subject.
Yeah.
Can't trust them.
Changed everything, man.
You can't trust them entirely.
Man.
Can you trust anyone entirely?
There's no such thing as, I'll give you an example. There's no such thing as a brute fact. David Hume.
Mm-hmm.
That's like saying I'm a little bit pregnant. There's no such thing.
Yeah.
If at any point in time the questions get stopped, you get, and now I'm getting in dangerous territory here, but
Yeah,
if anyone ever
talk that talk.
if anyone ever goes like, well, the laws of physics are the ultimate reality,
Mm-hmm.
and it's meaningless to ask questions beyond that, why? You're inheriting David Hume. That's all you've done.
Yeah.
And you've assumed that's true because 300 years worth of, priest in white lab coats have said that's the case.
Yeah.
Priests in white lab coats. One
Man.
of my favorite. I'm writing that one down. Matter of fact. Priests in white lab coats is one of my favorite.
And I keep the same energy for,
Can you just really quickly, and then we'll move to
Yeah.
our current events.
Yeah, because we're gonna.
Explain the priest in lab coats quote.
Oh,
really
yes.
fast.
Oh, really quick. So, when you look at Galileo,
Mhm.
those were priests in cathedrals.
Right.
If you look at Neil deGrasse Tyson, that's a priest in a white lab coat. That's what
Right.
that is.
Right.
It's not a demonizing or demeaning term,
Mm-hmm.
but we have to at least say we're in a system.
Right.
And if you're pretending to speak as though these things are facts,
Yeah.
and you're not willing to have this deeper discussion, which is, most truth and knowledge is contingent on something else.
Mhm.
Yeah. That is how priests get down, man.
Right.
That's how they get down.
Too much dogma.
Too much dogma.
So,
Yeah. All
what
right.
we're gonna go into next is current events.
Current events.
Who wants to
wanna go
drop in
Cole?
first?
No, I'll
mean,
tell you, you go ahead.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, yeah,
man?
yeah.
I mean, okay. This one is a little, I'm going to read from my handy dandy notebook here.
Mm-hmm.
The book of BVU is what I'm calling this. We're going to sell this motherfucker one day. Daryl Turner,
Mm-hmm.
Police Associate Executive Director for the Portland Police Department.
Okay.
I found out a few days ago that Portland has had 150, I think it's 156 now, at the time, 150 straight days of rioting and violence.
Hmm.
They tried this defund the police thing, and shootings went up 800%. 800. So that means if you had 10 shootings in a year, you're on track to have 80
Yes.
the next year. That's an 800% increase.
And the violent crimes, or
Yes.
the violence,
Yes.
the fatality rate is probably congruent with that number too. It's
Mhm.
important.
So another thing to know is recently one of the riot squad members, and there were 50 riot squad members who have been, I hesitate to use the term on the front lines because,
Yeah.
it's a military term, and I don't want to compare this to a military situation, but
Right.
these men do have people throwing feces, urine, Molotov cocktails,
Mm-hmm.
rocks, all kinds of weapons at them. So I'm going to use the term on the front line. Fuck it. They've been on the front line dealing with this. And one of these riot officers, I saw the video, he pushed a photographer.
Yeah.
And he was just indicted for assault charges against the photographer by the DA. All 50 members of the riot squad resigned together. Any initial thoughts to that part
All
before I give
50
you some
resigned
extra
together.
details? All 50 resigned together after the indictment of one of their fellow riot squad members.
It's difficult. It's difficult.
So
Because if you want to cut your ear off every time you come home from work,
who was the initial person?
What do you mean?
Because you said after one of the members resigned, the rest of them resigned altogether.
Oh, I don't know his
No.
name. I don't know his name. One of them pushed over. It was in the heat of a riot.
Yeah.
And the police were moving forward, and there was a photographer taking photos, obviously, and the cop like pushed him to the side. He fell down, broke his camera, and they charged him with assault.
Okay. Wow.
When he was indicted,
Yeah.
the rest of the team quit.
Said,
The other
"We're gone."
49 members all resigned
All together.
together. They're all still considered a part of the police force, but
Mhm.
they're not riot squad members.
They removed themselves from that.
Yeah.
Wow.
and this is 149 days, you said?
150 straight days of rioting.
And then having to be out there
That's
trying
a,
to protect his. Wow.
yeah, that's a very
If you were okay, let's put ourselves in the shoes of the riot squad
Mhm.
members. If you were one of them, and this situation happened, it's like I don't know if you would have much choice but to resign. If everybody else said, if 30 guys said, yeah, we're gonna resign, I'd be like, well, shit.
You're standing with your
I
members.
think I got
Yeah.
you know. So, but let me provide some additional details.
Okay.
The associate executive director that I brought up, Daryl Turner, is a black man, which stood out to me. He went on Fox News about 5 days ago and did an interview where he highlighted all of these statistics, and I went and looked, and they were all real. Shootings up 800%. Victims of these shootings are over 65% black.
Yeah, I was about
Okay.
to ask about that statistics. If that was
65% of the
Black.
people being shot in the 800% increase are black. I'm going to guess that Portland's black population is about what the rest of the country's is, which is 10 to 15%.
yeah, a lot of white people in Oregon. I mean,
So-
Portland, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it being 63% of the people shot are black.
That's
And
Yeah.
these
That's a
shootings,
striking amount.
these
Wow.
shootings are not being carried out by the police.
they're
either.
being killed by the
These
citizens.
are civilians.
Okay, what's your
Citizens.
initial thought on that?
I think it is incredibly ironic that this all started, of course, after George Floyd, the defund the police thing in Portland, and the rioting, and there were riots here in Los Angeles in response to George Floyd. What I said at that time, and I feel the same way now, is you can't tell me that you're doing that for George Floyd. You won't convince me of such a thing. How you tearing the city apart in any way aids this cause, I don't, you can't make that math make sense to me. And also, once again, I find when we have situations like this, the people who end up getting hurt the most are the black people. We have a death, a murder. White people start yelling at each other. The conservatives show up and go, racism is not a problem. And the liberals go, you're a fucking racist. And then they start arguing with each other. And then black people can't even get a word in edgewise. And then we get shot some more as a result.
Yeah. Wow. That's
That's what comes
that's amazing.
And using the word ironic is, of course, putting it in very mildly.
Yeah.
Fucked up is
It's
more like
humorless. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really
Fucked up
difficult.
Fucked
Yeah.
up is more like it. again, you're not going to when the George Floyd thing happened, when the murder happened. I remember seeing a video of a white woman handing a black male I want to say it was a brick for him to throw through a window of a business here in Los Angeles, and thinking, when I saw that, I went and see, again, like you're so caught in your white world, you have no idea that if he throws that brick through that window,
he's gonna be
his
one.
life is over.
Yeah,
he doesn't get a second chance. Black boys don't get second chances usually, for the most part.
Wow.
That white woman could throw that brick through that window and she'd be home in
Walk
45
away
minutes.
easily, no problem.
She'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So again, just don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining, white liberals. Period. You're pissing on my leg and telling me it's raining, and you're getting more of us killed.
Yes.
Okay, I got to ask this next question because there's nothing I can say to that, because I agree with you 100%. The question then becomes: is anarchy, like, what is? And I think this is related to our conversation to some degree as well, because anarchy is a disposition. It's a possession. It's an idea, but it doesn't necessarily direct towards any horizon, so to speak.
Yeah,
it's like we're cutting off some negative thing, but you might be, it might be at the top of the tree, and there's a bunch of people underneath it that are the people you're protecting at the same time. It's very strange.
Very strange.
Yeah.
I would encourage, my white liberal friends to just try to start having some honest conversations about race with some black people. I think that's all that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because they clearly are not, like, I hear white people, white liberals, talk about the matter of race, or I hear them talk about certain, like...
with certainty?
Or they'll talk about, like, certain cultural topics, and I go, you don't know any black people. You don't. Like, you don't. I can tell you don't. I can hear it a mile away.
Yeah.
You're talking about toxic masculinity because of what that white guy just said. You've never been in a black barbershop before.
Nope.
You haven't.
You
haven't. You don't understand this culture that you claim to care about so much, which I don't think means that you can't care about it.
No.
But I do think it makes your solution finding misguided.
Yeah.
Put it like that.
Right.
Put it nicely.
It's not this is a hard road.
Yeah.
So we're in a fucked up position.
It's fucked
We
up.
are.
Much love to everyone. Please be good out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be good to each other, man.
Be good to each other, man. Love each other. I know it's cliche. It is cliche, but guess what, guys? Some ideas are cliched for a reason.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even if you're possessed with a disdain for other people.
Yeah.
And this is what I say here is not an endorsement.
No. Not
But
at all.
Catch yourself. Be present.
What's your
What you
do
got,
you
Cole?
have a what's your current event?
Oh,
And we'll close on that.
Well, wow. Yeah, my current event is just this. I feel like it should be bigger news, but it's, I think this is the delayed response. This is going to be that 50-year effect. 50 years from now, this will be a big deal. Right now, it's not. There's so much not an exterior world that some things are poking through it and going, hey, we're here.
Yeah,
And
can't
we're going,
ignore me
no, it's not real.
Yeah, you
It's
can't
bullshit.
ignore us for much
Bullshit.
longer. You can't ignore us for much longer, man.
They roll out the priest.
Yeah.
Them
There's nothing here.
Those
No.
interdimensional beings, they
Coming in.
come knocking at your door talking about come outside.
And again,
Bring your ass outside.
this
Come
is
on.
I completely lay this at the feet of the European Enlightenment. This is not the Native Americans that have this closed-mindedness. This is not people in the Middle East that we tend to critique the hell out of.
Or Africans, or I'd argue African Americans. I believe it's
Yeah,
the
agreed.
number is 80%.
Facts.
80% of black people still identify as Christian.
Right. And
Or
white people
spiritual.
love, what's the movie? River?
Yeah.
River. I mean, I love that fucking song because it's just a great song.
great.
Leon Bridges.
Yes.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a contemporary black singer
Yeah.
who's just hitting some eternal note,
Yep.
Yeah, soul.
hitting
All right,
his soul.
Man,
But
amazing.
what
Yeah.
happened, man? What happened?
Well, the report dropped. and the report was supposed to include naval intelligence. It's the report on unidentified aerial phenomena, UFOs, right? Everyone knows what a UFO is, little flying saucer green men.
Yeah.
And I'm saying the green men part two because I
Tinfoil
feel,
hat.
yeah, we can get to the point where we're like, oh, I'm going to act real serious about this.
Yeah.
No, we're in such a state that something silly is going, hey, we're here.
Mm-hmm.
We're here. Flying frisbees. We're here. We're here. But our response is, oh, come on. Don't be so gullible.
Yeah.
I go back to Chesterton.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to Chesterton. You would believe your landlord. If the peasant says the landlord's an asshole and he kicks me off this corner every day, you would totally believe the peasant. Because that feels good to believe him in that situation. But if that same peasant, and I'm using the word peasant as like is a cultural term here. I mean, if you want to bring it all the way back to every tradition, right? Krishna, Jesus, the Buddha, the peasant is extremely important.
Jesus was a peasant.
Jesus was a peasant. The escape is real. You know, why do we fault people for trying to escape? Stories are escape.
Yeah.
Silliness is an escape.
Yeah.
Lions play because it's an escape. But in the modern world, not only is it, you know, you're in a jail cell. Tolkien used to say this all the time. You're in a jail cell, and you're trying to think about things outside the jail cell. But the jailer thinks it's an act of treason, intellectually, to think about anything outside the jail cell. The question becomes, though, the fact that you can think about anything outside the jail cell should tell you that's very strange. You know, if there's nothing out there, we should have never figured that out.
Yeah.
Right? I'm touching on something that words can't, you know, that's difficult to get towards.
Not quite. Yeah.
But we've so lost that ability to realize that's so obvious. It's so obvious we're trapped
Yeah.
in our own experience.
Yeah.
And we're trapped in a modern world. And something's happening.
There's going to be some moment where we do step outside the cave. And I think in human evolution, it's inevitably just going to keep happening as we keep plodding forward unless we totally fuck up and kill all ourselves, which is
Entirely
reason.
possible.
Entirely possible, yes. It's totally within reason. We're only going to keep going further and further out into... God knows what we are going to find once we do figure out the space problem. We're eventually going to figure it out. Might not be... It might be in our lifetime, even. What the fuck is out there? Shit.
This person will
Sweet
remain
like
nameless,
some
but one of my
demon
previous
shit.
bosses was a Navy spy
Uh-huh.
as well. He's just an exceptional human being.
Yeah.
But he did tell me that the decisions by, let's say, generals, secular military mindsets are, we have a big enough stick to make sure nothing ever happens. Because other people will realize, if we do something, the whole world ends, so no one's going to do anything. That's the safety. That's our safety. That's the safety on the gun. And I'm saying it's completely the other way around. Completely the other way around. And I think if you look at the UFO thing, what do? They go to highly secure military installations. That's what they do. They fuck with the Navy. They fuck with the Air Force. They go turn off the button. Then they turn it on, and right before it launches the end of the world, the apocalypse, they turn it back off. Go read the report. It's in there.
He's like, gotcha.
Read the report.
But they're also saying they don't know what's going on. Of 150 cases since 2004, 143 of them remain completely unknown. Since 2004.
143.
They're already lying to begin with. It's been going on far longer than 2004. It's been going on since the beginning of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Sounds like some demon shit to me, man.
Again, though.
What's going on in the comments over there?
Sounds like Paul talking about some space demons.
You talking about space
Some
demons?
space demon
Space
action.
demons.
No. I
but why-
rebuke y'all in the name of Jesus.
Why is it so terrible, though? That's a question. Why is the fear?
Yeah.
Why do we have fear?
Right. Why can I muster fear in the direction of demons?
Some generations had no fear in demons.
I'm sure I should speak to a therapist about this. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's my, heavy religious indoctrination growing up. And the demon thing in particular,
Forget the demon.
It actually bothers me if I see like any horror with the demon. No, I'm out.
Forget the
I'm out. I
demon.
can't take
Insert anything weird. Anything is they would say is absurd.
Maybe a demon is my stand-in for.
I know it is, but I'm trying to get a different definition because I don't. Because I just.
All right, so we're coming into the hour. So
Because it's laced with this is something we need to cover back up.
Yeah,
We need to put the genie back in the bottle.
Yeah.
And all these analogies are the problem,
man.
right? What's to fear? I tell you what,
fear.
It's the ego, man. We're not the end all be all. That's all I'm saying. And it might be what we need. Could be what we need.
That might be what you need. I don't need that, cuz. I don't need
exactly what we want.
I don't need none of that action. All right, folks.
Go ahead and close us out, Ty.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. This is our second episode. We're going to keep improving the show, keep improving the content. So any feedback is greatly appreciated. Again, thank you to Outside In Theater, Paul, Arlo, Matt, especially. We appreciate you guys. Please like, subscribe, share their channel, donate to them. Again, helping them helps us. So please donate to Outside In Theater. And subscribe, like, and share the Brain vs. Universe channel as well. We're going to get back on our reaction grind this coming week. So we'll have some more content for you guys.
Yep.
Thank you for listening. And we will see you same time next week.
All right, everybody.
Y'all be good now.
See ya.